Greetings, greetings, greetings. NyaAkoma. Akoma greetings. It's Montsho Nwasha, Akoma House Initiative, the art and science of Black love culture. The Black Love School. Culturally based counseling and consulting. We're going live. I know I got some friends. Remember that?
I do.
Greetings, everyone. We're coming live. We wanted to talk about, we wanted to announce that, first of all, we're starting to go live again.
Yeah, we'll be live every Wednesday.
Every Wednesday at 7 p.m. for now.
And this week we wanted to talk about relationship skills over choosing the right person.
Yes. So, you want to start?
Yes. I think a lot of times in relationships, and we want to know if you think this, most people think they just have to find the right person or, themselves be the right person in order to have a healthy, happy, successful relationship. But what we know to be true is that you can find the right person and still not have the right relationship if you yourself or if they don't actually have relationship skills. So sometimes people are ending relationships that they don't necessarily need to end because they don't have the skills. And sometimes someone is, going into a relationship that they shouldn't go into because they don't actually have the skills.
But I think also, too, what is so important is that to make a relationship sustain itself, to make a relationship work over a period of time, you need a continuance or a replenishing of foundational skills. So obviously you need the skills of how to court, how to mate, how to date, how to communicate effectively, how to resolve conflict, how to legacy plan, and a couple of other things that are in there, how to harmonize styles. These are skills that are ongoing. So it's not like a skill you got one time and you mastered it. But when you get the skills, what you are striving to develop to make a relationship work well is systems, a systems approach, a systems theory to making relationships work, because relationships are like any other complex system. It's simple, but it's not easy. And so you need to have a systemic way to approach things so that things happen so quickly in a relationship that if you try to figure it out on the fly, it's already too late. So,
but sometimes I think people think when you say it takes work, that it's a arduous, hard kind of work.
Like drudgery, yeah.
And I think when we get really good at other things, like if it is literally our work, we can have a challenging time, but we feel prepared for the task. And that is sometimes the difference. When we're working or we're, working for ourselves, working in whatever field we have a specialty or we're masters in, we can have a difficult situation, difficult client, a difficult day ourselves, but we're able to perform because of mastery. And that's really what we want to say is relevant in relationships. You have to be able to master certain skills.
Yeah, I think that oftentimes people are deluded by this idea, this fairy tale idea that if I pick the right person, then I'm good. And my relationship did or didn't go well because of the right person. Either, as Nwasha said, I am or am not the right person, or I picked the right person. And we have a core belief that picking the right person means that anything that comes up, we will be able to deal with. Well, I'm here to tell you, even when you pick the right person at a particular stage in your life, if you don't have, like we have in work, continuing education or continuing enhancement of skills, as they say, CEU credits, if you don't have those credits that you're able to grow and to evolve as a unit, even if you were the right person at a time, you won't be the right person at a future time. So this idea that you can just pick the right person is a fallacy. And in our work, we definitely want to eliminate this fallacy and help people understand that what is going to make a relationship sustain is that you have a relationship where the two people are working on themselves, not in a theoretical way, in a thematic way, but in a practical, measurable way. And you have skills that develop into systems. You want to take these individual skills and make them a system. So when a conflict comes up, you have 2 to 3 different styles of a way you can handle a conflict, and you go right to them. You acknowledge, yo, we in a conflict right now. This is conflict between us. Let's go to the race out of conflict style, or let's go to this kind of dialogue style, or let's use the feel, understand, do technique, so that you can actually enhance or actually address the conflict properly. This is what we're talking about. So we're saying that it doesn't matter almost who you pick. Yes, you want to make a selection based off the most important things to you, your core values, and you want to be compatible and all of that, but it doesn't stop there. That's only the beginning. Now that you've gotten the commitment and you've picked the right person, what skills are most important for you to develop? That's what we got to understand. Because if you don't understand that, you'll be sitting down on the side. I hear people saying, I thought this person was the right person. What do you mean? 10 years ago when you picked them? They were the right person 10 years ago. And they are the right person now if you develop skills. But I don't care who you pick. I don't care how great you are at vetting, which vetting is a skill that most people don't even have. But I don't care how good your mate selection is or your vetting is. That does not make your relationship last forever. Get that false belief out of your mind. And that's what we're saying. Okay, that's what I was trying to say. Yeah.
I think that the most important thing is getting yourself to be the right person for the relationship. That is the most important thing. If you are a master, and if you think of anything that you're really great in, if it's cooking, maybe like gardening, divining, reading, speaking, whatever you're good in, when you become that master, you can really share things in a succinct way that benefits someone else. It's just like, simple tasks that we do that we sometimes take for granted, and we're teaching children, how to write, how to tie their shoe, how to take a bath, how to eat with a fork, right? The thing that you have mastered, there's a system for it that you recognize because you've done it dozens of times, hundreds of times, thousands of times. A lot of times we think we're going to pick the right person, but like Montsho was saying, if we don't vet that I don't have so-and-so skill, so I need to pick a person who has that. Most of us don't have the awareness, to do that. To say, hey, I'm not the best communicator, or I'm kind of, I fly off the handle a lot, so I need to go and get a person who is calm. We sometimes are attracted. Talking about yourself? No.
Who are you talking about?
No, I didn't do that. We are sometimes thinking that, we need to go and pick someone, and we might be attracted to the compliment. So if we are quiet, we're kind of attracted to the person who's outgoing. But what happens a lot of times without the awareness is that person annoys us because they're calling for us to change or to grow in a way that we haven't mastered yet. So there is an initial attraction sometimes in that complementary energy, but not always about the real relationship skills that it's going to take. It's more the individual skills that, the individual personality. So I'm, funny. I want someone to laugh. I'm very serious. So I want someone who has depth in their conversation. But even when you get that and you have that pull to each other, which is important, it's the magnetic energy. After that, you need to know how to actually harmonize. And like Montsho said, resolve conflict, because there's going to be conflict when two different people come together, just like there is at work, just like there is with strangers on the street over a parking space, right? But when you have it all on the line in an intimate relationship, it's worth more. You're putting all your chips in, as they say, and it's going to sting more because your value, your personal value, and your future is tied to a relationship. A lot of times the other stuff, You know, it might mean something in the moment, which is why we have road rage or we have conflicts at work. But we say a lot of times we do the disclaimer, I don't even know these people, or they're not coming home with me, or I don't care about them that much. I'm only invested to a certain point. We don't have that luxury in intimate relationships. We're either all the way vested, or we want the other person to be before we become vested. So it's really... it's really important to think about, what do you think are top relationship skills? We want to know. Drop them in the chat. Montsho said some of them in a global kind of, you know, general way. But what have you found is very important to have in a relationship? What are the skills that you didn't have in the last relationship, or that you know you want in this present relationship, that you did cultivate through some, you know, practice, trial and error, training, you know, books that you read, some guidance from someone else that you appreciate their relationship? What are actual relationship skills? What do you need besides the initial thing that is attracting you? So besides, I think attraction things are definitely looks. I think intelligence, humor, you know, some of those personality traits are not relationship skills. And I think that we get that confused when we're just picking the quote right person. We say we want a person who's calm, a person who is smart, a person who's good with money. All of those things are really relevant as an individual personality trait. But a person good with money still might not share it with you. Right. A person good with money might not teach you how to be, right? A person who's intelligent still might not be talkative. A person who's intelligent might not necessarily make the best attentive parent. Right. You know, so sometimes we're looking at personality skills instead of what is actually the harmonizing skills. So what do you think? What is your, let's say, top 2? Drop your top 2 relationship skills in the comments so we can see what they are.
I know for me, it's conflict resolution. That's one of the top skills. And I think communication, as we say often, is the gateway skill to all the other skills. If you don't have excellent communication, which is the ability to create understanding and unified action, it's not articulation, it's not passion, it's not raw truth, it's not all the things people say.
Eve Marie has communication, cooperation, and balance.
Excellent. That's like,
and those are
harmonizing
those,
styles.
General skills again. That's the way you want to think of something, not necessarily like the way that we sometimes do. I think communication is number 1. You need good speaking and good listening skills, just as a human being, but definitely in the intimate relationship. And then I would say you also need to be able to have compassion or empathy. Because part of being in a relationship is seeing outside of yourself, outside of your point of view, outside of your experiences. And if you don't have a good skill set of being able to suspend yourself and see another person's point of view, I don't think you'll even get to conflict resolution, because you'll be very, you know, self-centered, and the ego will be protecting your ideas all of the time, right? So I think that those are definitely 2. You need to be able to be connected emotionally. You know, an emotional kind of intelligence is where I'm thinking the compassion and the empathy come from.
That's an excellent
You have to be able to know that the emotions are good, but be able to suspend your own. If you're angry, you have to know that's calling for you to make a decision. Or like we say when it comes to human needs, if you've done our human needs class, that anger is a call for more certainty and more significance. So you have to really be able to understand what's happening in you or the other person in order to get through life, right? Because life is unpredictable. And a lot of times I think we want to pick the right person as a happily ever after or a period on the sentence. And you can pick the right person, and still other things can be wrong. Yeah,
that's an excellent message, Nwasha. I think it's such an important thing. You could pick the right person and still have a horrible relationship because you didn't develop certain skills. Please understand that. And the reverse is also true, in that because you didn't have a great relationship is not a reflection of the fact that you picked the wrong person. Because this is the cop-out that I hear people say. I say, so what happened in the relationship? Why did it end? I guess we wasn't right for each other. Nah, you probably were. At one point, you came together. You were having sex, which is the most intimate service-based act two human beings can have. When you are that intimate with a person, and it's not just lust-driven, they probably were a good person for you and you for them, but you didn't develop and continuously develop skills because the other thing is the stages of relationships that we go through require that you develop continuing skills. Like in your profession, you can't say, I'm nice on information systems because I took typing in the 8th grade. You know what I mean? Like when, word processors and Macs and other things came out, the way we typed changed. And so what worked at one time is not indicative of what's going to make your relationship work over a period of time. And we all enter into relationships thinking longevity. Most of us do anyway. Unless we game it for some reason, we are looking to be with someone for a length of time, if not our entire lives. Well, I think what's interesting is, Nwasha always says it, and I sit back and think that, being together over 20 years, we've been in like 3 or 4 relationships in the same relationship. So some of the skills that we require now are not the skills that we had in the beginning of this relationship. Some of those skills have carried over, but even the ones that have carried over have been more refined.
That's what I was going to say.
You got to refine these skills. So you're like, oh, I'm a great communicator when we don't live together. But when you live together, your communication changes.
Or
when you have children, your communication changes.
Go through trauma.
Yes.
Right? So it's not about fault either.
Right.
It's not about
blame or guilt.
It's easy to, I think, when you go through challenges, you're going to lose something in life these days, right? This is just a time of self-forgetfulness. So you could lose a job, you can lose a family member, you can lose a part of your identity, right? When you have those experiences, it's easy to blame someone, or it's easy to want to blame. It's easy to feel frustrated. So a lot of times we're looking at our skill set when we're at our best, for one.
Right.
And we're looking at our skill set when we initially attract someone or we are attracted to someone. And that is often enough because, like Montsho always says, the love or that attraction is the gas in the car. But you still need to have a license. You still need to know the rules of driving. You still need to have some insurance. You still need to clean your car. It's so many things that go on besides that initial gassing up, right?
Right.
And for us, I think a lot of relationships, in the name of picking the right or wrong person or
just
not developing the skills, we kind of just let things go.
Mm-hmm.
And we think that there's going to be another opportunity that's going to be better. So even sometimes when we're in a relationship, we're like, oh, hey, you know what? I'm with the wrong person. That's what it is. If I just get myself with the right person, I wouldn't have this going on. But what I think a great counselor would tell you, if they were honest about dating and mating and harmonizing, is if you have some love, you're better off getting skills in the relationship that you have than
finding somebody
blaming and trying to go find someone new. And this is not a diss to dating or to looking for somebody new. But it's a matter of you saying that all of your eggs are in that basket of a new person, rather than, separating from one person. Even that, there's a measure of loss. When people get divorces, it's kind of like a person's dying. And you go through those stages of grief where you're saying, hey, first there's some denial. Then I'm angry, I have to blame somebody. Then I might be sad or depressed. Then I might, what's the next one? It's anger.
Yeah, anger.
No, denial, anger, depression. I can only think of 4. And when you finally make it to acceptance, what you're accepting is that I played some part in the dissolution of my relationship as well. And sometimes I think because we don't really talk about this subject, we don't ever get to that acceptance part when we're starting relationships as adults and losing them. Sometimes when you're young and you say, oh, this was a summer love, this was my first love, there's a kind of acceptance that it was going to end perhaps. But as adults, we don't really have the acceptance of our part. We kind of are looking to blame. We might blame our youth. We might blame, hey, it was the wrong time, wrong person, all of that type of stuff. But we don't look at what are the actual skills. So we kind of stay stagnant and find a new person. But many, many, many times people say some of the same issues come up. If they don't change, they tend to attract the same issues. And the reason why is we're not attracting a person only. Like we're going to talk about next week in Black Love School. What we attract is also spiritual and emotional. And there's a symbolism to what we're attracting.
There's a magnetism. From
the way someone looks and we get drawn to them, to the way someone talks and we're drawn to that, to the actual experience of syncing two people. Those two people that come together, as Sombofu Some said, no two people come together that spirit didn't want to come together. So there's a spiritual lesson that's going to happen. And a lot of times we cut off our learning. As Minister Farrakhan was saying, we leave the classroom, right? And when we come back in ready for love, we're picking up with the actual lesson. So it might be a different person, but we're going to come back around to the lessons that we didn't get. There's no skipping to like the 12th grade from the 4th. If you don't master the things from a primary year, you have to kind of go in succession. Now you can go quickly, like some people do, skipping grades and, doing multiple things at one time, but you're still going to go in a kind of order. And I think that we forget that in this one area of our lives. We accept it at work, accept it at school, accept it in our physical development, but we don't accept that we're actually drawing people based on an emotional and spiritual meaning. So when we get there and we don't develop and go to the next level ourselves and with them, we're always looking, I think, for somebody else to go first and somebody else to change and grow. And then for us to say, okay, now that they've done that, I'll do my part, because we're looking for proof instead of having something internal drive us for us to be the inspiration. It takes a lot of responsibility to say, I have a standard and I'm going to be the inspiration versus I'm waiting, I'm passive and somebody else has to go and then I'll go. And that's not that doesn't work in any other area, I don't think. You'll be passed over for promotion. You'll lose clients and business ideas if you don't take initiative. But in relationships, we've been conditioned to think about passive stories that are fairy tales or things that are magic and just destiny. Or that things are actually outside of our control and we're living a life where we're at the mercy of life instead of, really living an active, initiatory, kind of existence where we have a say. Although we're not controlling everything, we absolutely have a say of what it's going to mean to us. And that's something that we have to reflect on as we think about our past relationships.
So we invite you to come into our systems of relationship education. We do it in a variety of ways. Of course, we have our individual coaching, counseling, consulting, and we have the Black Love School, which is a community of singles and couples from 11 countries around the world where we are learning the art and science of Black love culture. We're getting the relationship education, which is the second of 3 pillars of our work. We want psychological reparation, we want relationship education, and then cultural initiation. This is so important. So we need to know best practices on how to do things, how to make up, how to break up, how to have conversation around different things, how to have difficult conversations, how to do all of the things we need to do that include what we need to be successful. Peace to Baba Joe. Looking to see you back in the Black Love School, brother. Coming back. Definitely taking some time to address your physical and your health. I respect that. It's good to see you, my brother. But we are inviting you all to come see what the community dynamic is, because I'll close on saying this. The reason all of these skills are mystical and disconnected to us is because we don't live or operate in communities where they're norm. The Black Love School attempts to normalize the best practices of Black love culture for the group, right? So when you come into school, whether you're single, mated, married, you're going to see someone who is where you are, someone who is where you have been, and someone who is where you want to be. It gives you 360 degrees of self expression and evaluation in a community context. We need community around relationship. There is certainly parts of your relationship that are sacred and that are for no one else, but all the rest of it is for the benefit, literally, of the extended community. So the extended community should have that's an idea that we have not been taught in our culture. We've been taught that everything about our relationship should be private and to us, and it's that teaching that got us last in every area of human activity of the world, and that has us normalizing the most insane dysfunctions to the point where we celebrate dysfunctions. We don't want to be in that place. So you can join, you can do both. You could come, Black Love School, individual,
yes,
back and forth. Most people go back and forth from individual packages, but we are committed and we are on a life purpose mission to share this work, the art and science of Black love culture, with our family globally. So join us, please. Come check it out. We're going to put the links in the description, and that's what we have for you today. So, as always, we want to greet you in peace and say to you that skills are way more important than who you pick. I know you've been told otherwise, but I would challenge anybody. I would even say this: if you develop continuously evolving skill set around relationship, you would do better picking somebody bad than you would if you pick somebody good and don't develop any relationship skills. You will be more successful in the former example than you would in the latter. And that is unlike what you've been taught. You've been taught if you could just pick the right one. Well, I'm going to say to you, you the right one. But you are only going to be successful if you develop skills. And I'll say a check-in point would be about 3 to 4 times a year. About once a season, you need to be refining your skills on communication, on conflict resolution, on harmonizing styles, on all of those things. And when you do that, your relationship will perpetually elevate over an extended period of time through the cycles of your life and the cycles of your love. And so on that point, we leave you all in peace. We greet you as we always do with the eternal words of Black love culture. And we say, let's watch this. Watch. Beautiful words. NyaAkoma, Akoma Nwasha. We ain't done. We back.
Just gotta press that finish button. Just gotta press that.